New opening ceremony news from Gamescom and how that whole thing's going to work with the midnight reveal. Also, a bunch of class tuning and changes coming in just before Raid opens here, as well as some of the best trinkets in the game, what you should be looking for as we head into Raid, and a few other little tidbits here and there. So let's just jump straight in. Here we go. World of Warcraft Midnight opening cinematic will be happening at this Gamescom ceremony on August 19th. That's right. So we'll be watching this thing live the entire day. I'll be doing an all-day stream for this. For us, 2 p.m. Eastern time. For people on the Pacific Coast, 11 a.m. Pacific time. That is the time that the cinematics will start to be revealed for the new games, and the opening ceremony will kick off. Now, what time exactly midnight is going to be revealed, we don't know yet. What we do know is that Blizzard is going to be doing a post, basically reveal, their typical, where they go into the development and everything, and you talk to Ian Hazzikostas, and you have the interviews and the features, the breakdown and all that stuff. That's still going to happen. We're going to watch the midnight reveal, and then Blizzard's going to go live with their own stuff, right? But when that's going to happen, we don't know the exact time yet. I wish Blizzard would reveal it, because then we'd kind of get an idea of when the midnight cinematic's going to be revealed, or when the cinematics will be done being revealed, because this whole ceremony is going to be about 3 hours long. 2 to 3 hours long is typically how long this ceremony lasts, and we don't know when the midnight expansion is going to be revealed in that time frame, or when the cinematic reveals are going to be done, and they're going to talk about other shit. We have no idea. They talk about all the stuff that's going to happen that night as of right now, new game announcements, trailer and gameplay reveals, talks with prominent guests, a first look at Gamescom events, and much more. So I don't know when this shit's going to happen in terms of that time frame, but we're just going to have to sit and watch and see what happens. I kind of miss the BlizzCon days where, we just knew it was just going to be all Blizzard shit. I'm not the biggest fan of phase diving. Yeah, a lot of. We'll talk a little bit about that. There's a bunch of bug fixes and stuff happening too that we'll get into here in a second. So overall, we'll be watching this entire thing. Obviously, we'll be watching Blizzard when they go live, and they're talking about everything that's going to happen. There'll also be a bunch of player housing stuff going down, right? They're going to have player housing demos out on the floor over there, so people will be playing that, as well as Taliesin and Evitel live. Look at that. So, yeah, they'll be live there. Bunch of stuff going down that day, and we'll be watching the entire thing live on the Samiccus stream. Besides that, we got some bug fixes and other things happening here, and class adjustments. So let's get into this stuff here. First of all, bug fixes. It's sad. It's a sad, sad day. Blizzard has fixed the issue where Frostham's Fury Dragons no longer despawn. Yeah, so no longer can you be a massive, big dick Frost DK walking around with 10 Syndragosas falling your back. That's kind of sad, but it was going to get fixed eventually. Shaman's also a little issue with Liquid Magma Totem not applying Flame Shock. That's been fixed. Enhancement Shaman fixed a bug that allowed Tremor to be dodged and parried and blocked. For Delves, we see a bunch of adjustments here, and by adjustments, I mean massive reductions to damage from those mobs. I'm surprised, because I thought Delves have been pretty easy this week. But anyways, Arcane Barrier Shield is now only 10% of health, was 15%. Sand Step Dot damage reduced by 65%. Mana Feast damage reduced by 66%. Arcane Lash reduced by 15%, and they fixed a bug where Warlock's Wither could remove stacks of static charge. Interestingly enough, Arcane Barrier is now interruptible as well and dispellable. Recast times increase. So a bunch of little adjustments there for Delves. And then we got items, a few item issues here that have been fixed. Koresh multiplayer pet battles are now allowed to take place at Koresh. The game has been saved officially. And then quests, the Void Hunter should now point you to Leno Darkstrider, which is the correct location. I guess it was pointing people in the wrong direction, which is kind of funny. But besides that, we got upcoming class tuning changes. Just before Raid opens up, your class is going to feel a little bit different if they're on this list here. So let's talk about this here. For classes, we got a bunch of changes to Druid. First of all, balance. All ability damage has been increased by 8% across the board. That's a pretty big buff there. We see changes to their tier set, where the 4-piece now accumulates 3% of damage done, was 2%. We also see a buff here where their Dryad's Favor is now capped at 10x spell power, was 6x, and Splash's 15% was 20%. So a little bit of a nerf there, but a buff on the 10x spell power there. So that's pretty big. Alun's Chosen, the 2-set bonus. Starfire damage increase changed to 20%, was 25%, and now has a 40% chance, was 50, to launch more Star Surges. So a bit of a buff, a bit of a nerf there. And then Alun's Chosen here for 4-piece. Split Star Surge deals 40% effectiveness, was 80%, so a bit of a nerf there. But this overall 8% buffs, pretty damn nice. For restoration, we see a couple changes. There's set bonuses as well. A few fixes to bug fixes here. Symbolic Bloom and Burst Growth. Healing was increased by 15% for them. We also see here the two-piece set bonus. Symbolic Bloom Growth is now increased by 45%, was 30%. Windstalker here, 4-piece bonus. Bursting Growth Trigger is now 100% effectiveness, was 80%, so a nice little buff there. Developer notes here, you can read through those. Brewmaster, Shadowpan 2 set. Damage dealt by Flurry Strike is now increased by 10%, was 20, so a nerf there. Their 4-piece also got nerfed here for Flurry Challenge, and then damage dealt by Flurry Strikes. Wisdom of the Wall reduced by 20%, so some reductions there to Brewmaster was doing pretty good. Actually, Brewmaster might be finally viable for the first time in a little while, and it looks like their set bonus, I guess, was a bit too powerful, so Blizzard went ahead and nerfed that shit. Enhancement Shaman, a bunch of increases here. Enhancement needed these. Enhancement wasn't doing too good lately. They started out the expansion really, really strong and then kind of fell off. Well, they're coming back again, it looks like. For Lava Lash damage increased by 15%, Wind Strike damage increased by 20%, Totemic Surge Bolt damage increased by 25%, Totemic Searing Bolt damage increased by 35%, and then for Stormbringer, Awakening Storm damage increased by 35%, so some big buffs there for enhancement. Let's see what happened here with Warlock. We see Threatening Presence now increases the threat generated from your Voidwalker and Felguard by 950%, was 400%. That's nice. So Blizzard's buffing the ability for the Felguard to hold aggro, and yet I sit here as a Blood DK still unable to hold aggro because of how shit damage everything is and how bad the aggro system is. Wonderful. Affliction Warlock, Spliced, Fiender Traders, Influence 2-piece set bonus now has been adjusted. Jackpot chance reduced by 30%, so there's a bit of a nerf there for Affliction. Okay, Warrior, Protection, Mountain Thane damage dealt by Ionizing Strike reduced by 30%. I know Mountain Thane's a popular one, so that's an interesting one. The reduction by 30%. I don't know how that's going to affect you guys, but a reduction's never a good thing. PvP stuff going on here. I won't really read through all this, but you can get a gist of what's going on here. So we'll see where all the classes stand when this raid finally opens. We'll look at the DPS charts after a week has been open in this thing, see where everybody's currently popping off and where they're not, and that'll be a fun thing to look at the first time around. What else we got here? Dungeons and what the best trinkets are that you should be looking for Season 3. That's right, going through some of these real quick. The best strength trinkets, we're looking at, I had this one last season, Improvised Seer Form Pacemaker from Operation Floodgate. We got the Arakara one. We also got Signet of the Priory from Priory of the Sacred Flame. These are good ones for strength. We got intellect trinkets here. We got the Ecodome Eldani dropping the Ajakaran Paradoia. Where did they get these names? Anyways, nice trinket there. Ecodome Eldani also dropping the Lily for your intellect there, and then Tazavesh. What is this? Soleil's Secret Technique. Okay, so a good one from the Tazavesh Failed Market. We're going to talk about Tazavesh and the hard mode in it in a second here. Very interesting how that achievement's going to work. It's different than the last time the Deathless Run thing was a thing in the game. And then for agility here, Operation Floodgate, giving you the Seer Form again, yep. And then Ecodome Eldani for the Lily, and then Prior of the Sacred Flame for your Signet of the Priory. And then the best tanking trinkets here, no surprise, Tome of the Light was a big one last time, from Priory of the Sacred Flame. We also see the Soleil one from Tazavesh, and then the Arakara trinket as well. And then for best healer trinkets, Tazavesh giving you Soleil's, Priory of the Sacred Flame giving the Signet, and then the Dawnbreaker giving you the Empowering Crystal. I'll link this in the chat and down below for anyone who's watching the video now. If you want to go chase these trinkets, you'll be able to do so via this list. Finally, here we got the Alliance winning the Delvers sweepstakes, the Delvers competition, whatever you want to call it. If you didn't notice this when you went over to the delving area, there was a little flag for the Horde. It was a grayed out flag, and it had the Horde and Alliance bars above. This was a competition all across World of Warcraft to hit 1 million delves. Who could hit 1 million delves the fastest? And well, of course, the Alliance won. We're the better of the two factions. That totally makes sense. So the Alliance flag now flies over the Delvers headquarters in Dornegal. What that means is we're going to get the achievement. The good thing is the Horde will not be left empty-handed. Completing a delve during the event will still grant you the Flying with Colors, which is the Alliance or Horde version of these Delvers mounts. So it looks like as long as you did a delve, you got it. I haven't logged in since this competition ended. Did anybody get this when they logged in the other day? I don't know. The Alliance won, so I think we're gonna get the achievement, and the Horde won't. But you'll still end up getting the mount if you did a run. I'm not sure how this all works, but yeah. Anyways, 2 cool looking mounts. The Alliance won. Of course we did. That totally makes sense. And then finally, you only get 1 shot per week at running the undeadly or never dying or deathless run Tazavesh run. If you haven't done this, this is an interesting one. So if you played back in Dragonflight, you remember there was a deathless run of that whole time-walking dungeon, right? Where you could go do it and then you would get the infinite dragon set. Well, they're doing it again, but this time it's a bit different. So every week, everyone's going to start with the Street Smart buff. If you die in Tazavesh, you will lose the buff. So this buff needs to be up on you when you do the Deathless run. So here's the thing. If you die on Monday, you can no longer do the Deathless run. Or die on Tuesday right after servers come up, you are done. What has to happen is everyone in the group has to enter with the buff. So nobody has died the entire week. Once they're in, they complete the run and everyone still has the buff. Then what happens is everybody gets a mythic piece of loot. That's right. So if you manage to do the whole thing, Deathless run, you can get yourself a myth track 1 of 6 piece of loot. There will be an extra piece of loot at the end of the dungeon. Now, what we're not exactly sure about is you still can get the achievement, I believe, by doing this. So if you complete the run Deathless, and not everybody has the buff still, maybe they lost it on a different day of the week or whatever, you could still get the achievement. It looks like Flawless Transaction, but you will not receive the hard mode extra loot, which is that piece of mythic loot. If you complete it without everyone having the buff, you'll still get the bosses that drop the hero 1 of 6 loot, and completion of the mega dungeon will still reward you with the +10 to your vault and 30 gilded crests. The difference with doing it with everybody still having their street buff up is you can get that mythic piece of loot. So that's pretty cool. Again, the Tazavesh hard mode is like a +10. Okay, so it's a difficult one. It's like a +10 dungeon. There's a bunch of added mechanics. A bunch of these bosses have added shit on them with the difficult and the hard mode active. So interesting thing. We'll see how this all, how many people can actually get this done at the very end. We're going to definitely try it. We did the hard mode version the last time this was available, so we'll try it again. And that is all in terms of news.